What's up, grinders? Welcome to the Grindcast. And this is the first ever episode of my new podcast called the Grindcast. And so far we will be uploading on YouTube and on SoundCloud. And pretty much, if you're listening on SoundCloud, I should be including the link to the YouTube channel in the description. I don't know how that works. I've never used SoundCloud before. I'm just using it for this podcast. Hopefully it works, and we'll figure it out from there. And if you're on Discord, if you haven't already, please join Discord. I'll also be including that in the description. And that's pretty much all there is to that. Let's jump right into the draft lottery. Actually, first of all, I'm recording this at around 9:35 p.m. Eastern Time Zone, Friday, November 27th, and I just completed. I was using Draft Pick Simulator. I don't know where it is. I can find it. I will. It's nhl-numbers.com/nhl-draft-lottery.simulator or whatever, and pretty much with that I simulated the top 3 picks, and number 3rd. The worst team in the league got screwed over yet again. The Buffalo Sabres. They'll be selecting 3rd overall, and debating on and if my predictions are right, and if the simulator is right, they should be selecting Brady Tkachuk, because that's what they need. They need a left winger for Jack Eichel. Sam Reinhart, I think he's a right wing. He's good. He's perfect for that. But they need that first line left winger after trading away Evander Kane. And then, second, you'll never guess who won 2nd overall. Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers should be selecting 2nd overall if this lottery is correct. And based on my predictions, they'll be selecting right winger Andrei Svechnikov, and that's simply because they need a right winger. They really do. And the team who will be selecting Rasmus Dahlin based on this lottery simulation will be the Ottawa Senators. And if you think of it, I'm an Ottawa fan, so I know more Ottawa situation than any other team. If you look at it, the pairings should line up as Rasmus Dahlin and Erik Karlsson, Thomas Chabot and probably Cody Ceci, and then whoever on the 3rd pair, right? So think of that. That's, if you ask me, that's pretty much Nashville like defensive depth. Except for Cody Ceci. Ottawa needs a better second pairing defenseman to replace Cody Ceci, because he's really not that great. And let's move on to the next topic I have. So I never made a video on my NHL 2018 playoff predictions, but I have my predictions, and so far some have been right, some haven't. We'll start off with the Vegas series. I didn't even predict Vegas or San Jose to make the playoffs. I predicted Vegas to be second last or last in the league. But I predicted to be second last, right above Colorado. And Colorado, I was wrong big time about that. And what a season by Vegas, honestly. Just William Karlsson, 43 goals, right? 43 goals. What a wicked season. Jonathan Marchessault in the 20s. Marc-Andre Fleury, wicked. I think, honestly, I'm a little surprised that Vegas traded away Calvin Pickard, but like Malcolm Subban's doing an amazing job. And just really, I think Vegas honestly is going to win the series in 6 games. I originally said 5 games, but I think Evander Kane and the San Jose Sharks will be able to get in a win or 2. So I predict Vegas will be winning in 6 games. And for the Nashville and Winnipeg series, I predicted Nashville to make the playoffs. I did not predict them to win the President's Trophy, but I did predict both teams to make the playoffs. And I think Nashville's going to win in Game 7, simply because Pekka Rinne and two Vezina caliber goalies, Pekka Rinne and Connor Hellebuyck. I think Pekka Rinne is gonna lead the Nashville Predators to win. And after, there's nothing I can really say for that. And next of all, so next of all, I'll be talking about the Tampa and Boston series. I think Tampa's going to win in 5 games simply because of goaltending. Like, they're both really wicked offensive teams, and Tampa's better on the defensive end, if you ask me. And Tampa's going to win in 5 games because Andrei Vasilevsky is Andrei Vasilevsky, and Tuukka Rask wasn't hot last series at all. I think he's going to be a little better this I think he's going to be a bit better than last round, but I don't think he's going to be that great. And really, that's all I can say about that series. Pittsburgh versus Washington. You guys might hate me for this, but I predict Washington to win, and that's simply because of every year Pittsburgh, every single time Pittsburgh has been paired with Washington, Pittsburgh wins. And this year Pittsburgh is weaker than in the past 2 years, and I think Washington's weaker too. But I think Washington is going to play better because they have 2 number 1 goalies. If you ask me, I think Philip Grubauer, he's not as good as Braden Holtby, but he is the number 1 goalie on a lot of teams in the NHL. If you ask me, but if you look at Pittsburgh, they have 1 elite goaltender in Matt Murray. He had a little bit of an off year, if you ask me. He didn't have as great a season as he did last year and the year prior, but he still had a pretty decent year this year. But their backup, if you look at Tristan Jarry, I don't think he's good enough to be a playoff starter. I think he's good, but I don't think he's good enough to play the playoffs. That's just my opinion. Who knows? He might pull another Matt Murray, but I don't know. I don't know what to think. But I think Washington's going to win in Game 7 in overtime. Next topic is the Minnesota Wild, after 9 years, have not extended general manager and executive vice president Chuck Fletcher's contract after 9 years, as I already mentioned. And I personally think it was a smart move to be made because Minnesota is a good team, but they're not good enough to make it out of the first round. They're a really good team, but I don't think they're good enough to actually be a contender. They're more of a hopeful team, if you ask me. I think it's a good move because I think with the new general manager, whoever they hire, they're gonna actually make it far in the playoffs and in a couple of years by making more trades. And some of the worst contracts in the league are Ryan Suter. Well, it's not that they're money-wise, it's bad for Ryan Suter. It's just the term is bad for Ryan Suter. And Zach Parise. Everything about the contract I hate. Back when that contract was signed, he was in the league goal-scoring NHL, but now he's just not that. He's not that at all. I think he needs. I think he'd be good around $3 million, if you ask me nowadays. But who signs a player to 2025 to up to year 2025 when you're in year 2012? Who does that? Clearly, Chuck Fletcher does. And I personally think Montreal will be firing Marc Bergevin and hire Chuck Fletcher to give a new look to the franchise. And Marc Bergevin has proven himself as being a horrible general manager, and Chuck Fletcher has proven to be a good enough general manager to stay in the league. And pretty much that's all I have written down for that. Except for that, Marc Bergevin is known for bad trades. For example, the Drouin and Sergachev. It's kind of sad when you trade a defenseman in Sergachev for a guy who will score goals and more points in Jonathan Drouin. But Sergachev, I'm pretty sure he got more points than Jonathan Drouin the entire year. And then if you look at the Weber and Subban trade, Weber won is a Norris Trophy candidate this year. He won the President's Trophy with Nashville. And Weber, really, what has he done this year? Nothing. It's not his fault that he got injured, but I think Weber's going to be a lot more injured in the next coming years because of his age. He's getting up there in age. He can't move like he used to. And really, that's all I have about that. And now I will be talking about the coaches who I think will be fired or replaced. Some coaches are obvious. For example, Vigneault was fired, so I think someone's going to replace him, and vice versa. First of all, I think Ottawa's going to be firing Guy Boucher after a horrendous year, and I think they're going to either replace him with Mark Crawford, who's already in the organization, or Alain Vigneault. Mark Crawford, in my opinion, is one of the greatest NHL coaches in history, in my opinion. He's proven it so many times that he's an elite coach, and when they hired Boucher and Crawford, I scratched my head thinking, why isn't Crawford the head coach and why isn't Boucher the assistant? Then there's Ali Vigneault. He could provide a complete new look to the franchise, and he's proven that he's an elite coach, and I think that's what Ottawa needs. Then I think Montreal will be firing. I think Montreal will be firing Glenn Gulutzan. I think Montreal will be firing Claude Julien and replacing him with Glenn Gulutzan. Bergevin's known to be an idiot. I'm sorry for Montreal fans, but Bergevin's known to make idiotic moves, and he's known to make some idiotic hiring decisions. For example, Claude Julien. I get Montreal wasn't playing anymore for Michel Therrien, but they could have waited at the end of the year. They were still one of the best teams in the league when they fired Therrien. He could have waited for the offseason. He really could have. And Julien this year it's a failed experiment. It's not working at all. And I think New York will be hiring Claude Julien if Montreal fires him. And I think before I read this, before I wrote this down on my list, I didn't know about this, but Calgary has already replaced their coach, Glenn Gulutzan, as their coach. If they fired Glenn Gulutzan and replaced Bill Peters, I thought that the Calgary Flames were to hire Boucher simply based on the explanation that Calgary really likes former Ottawa players and coaches. For example, Dave Cameron, he was assistant coach, I think, for 2 years, and he also and they also have Chris Lazar, who he traded for. So in my opinion, Calgary likes Ottawa and they like their former players. So that's my opinion about it. And now, if I'm going to talk about who the Carolina Hurricanes are going to hire, because I didn't know that Bill Peters resigned. I didn't know that. So I think Glenn Gulutzan is going to coach. I think it would be funny if not Glenn Gulutzan, but I think it would be funny if Boucher coached in Calgary. I think he might be good under Calgary because Calgary has the defense. If you ask me, Calgary has a defense that they need. That's really all I have about that. And let's talk a bit more about the channel itself. I should be recording. Well, I had enough videos recorded to last the entire off season, but my device broke and I cannot retrieve those videos, and so I'm trying to work on recording more videos. But I'm recording podcasts, and hopefully I'll be able to upload them. But really, I'm running out of time, so that's all I can really say about that. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. If you did, share with your friend, like, subscribe, join Discord if you want, whatever you want, it's fine. Everything's chill. That's all I have really to say. And I should be uploading a podcast every 1 or 2 weeks, so stay tuned. And tomorrow I will be uploading another podcast debating on whoever won the draft lottery. Okay? That's all I have for now. See you next week.